Hello, all. We are back for another Dresden discussion. Yes. So we have made it to Cold Days and Skin Game. Now, I know you guys aren't here to see me. You're here to see the awesome guests I have. So we can start on that side and go
You're
ahead and
you're
introduce.
you're funny. No,
Yeah,
which
but
side?
yeah, go ahead, Chaz. You can
You
introduce
want? Oh,
yourself.
okay. I wasn't sure. Yeah, hi. I'm Chaz. Channel is book is Chaz, and I'm this close to catching up on Dresden. I'm almost there. So much fun, and so many changes are still happening. Oh my goodness!
All
And
right.
and just I have to get this out of the way, but before we begin the discussion, I just have one thing to say now that I'm where I am. Parkour!
Parkour. That's right. All right. So, Joe, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Joe. I'm new to this recap of Dresden, but I'm an old reader. I read Dresden when he was new, like I read the early books when they were first published, and in many ways I patterned my writing career after Jim Butcher, and in the sense that like my series is structured like Dresden, and I often describe it as the Harry Dresden in space, which may not be accurate. That's another argument that we don't need to get into on this this video. That's not the place for it. But I'm a huge fan of Jim Butcher and Harry Dresden, and I'm also a writer, and I'm super thrilled to be here. So thank you guys so much for having me.
It's great to have you, man.
Yeah, awesome.
And last and least.
Yes, very much least. I have no channel. So, I'm Nathan. I go by the handle Warlock. I am invited on here every time Joe's doing one of these. I'm an old friend of his, and he just hates every single one of you because he keeps subjecting you to my opinions.
You
Yeah.
contribute great stuff. I watched a bunch of back videos, and you're excellent.
You are
All right, guys. So,
Well, thank you.
all right. So, leaving from Ghost Story, and then the way it ended was just to me, like my first read through it, I was just like, you had a feeling, especially because Cold Days was out. I came in right at Cold Days, so you knew it continued, but it was just like what was going to happen, and then you're just sitting there, you're just like, oh my god, Mab, Demon Reach. What were your guys' thoughts coming into Cold Days? What were you expecting? Whoever wants to jump in.
Well, when I got to Cold Days, that was actually the first one that published. So I had to wait for that one and everything. I think we talked about that in the last video. We did about Cold Days about Ghost Story and everything. When I got to it and everything, I already had a building tension because at the end of Ghost Stories, Mab's all emaciated, sounding like death, and just pissed as hell because Harry tried to pull one on her and everything. And I'm thinking, great, now he actually has to make good on his deal with the devil, more or less. And was very curious as to how he was going to handle that and if he was going to get out of it.
What'd you think, Joe?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because this is 10 years ago when I first read these. Very curious to see what was gonna happen with him and Mab, obviously, and nervous about how it was all gonna pan out as there's a lot of tension going on as the arc seems to be like descending, right? Like it seems like Harry is making more and more bargains and more and more compromises that go kind of against his nature, what he wants to do, in order to just make it through the next 6 months, the next 3 months. Like he's constantly in the situation where like his life is in danger, all his friends are in danger, and he's got to just keep doing stuff that he probably doesn't want to do. And it's like, how far is this going to go? It's this huge tension, which makes you want to read the next book, which is brilliant.
He made it.
Hey, Bo. Very nice.
So what were you? Because Chaz, this is your first read through, and you were burning to get this. So how did you feel kind of coming through these?
Oh man, yeah, it's been a wild ride. Like I've actually loved every Dresden book since book one. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Full Moon wasn't that great or whatever. I'm like, yeah, forget you. I loved it. I just I've loved it. But I mean, there were some that are definitely not as good as others. Like Ghost Story was great, but it wasn't amazing. So, but the ending really like threw me for a loop. I'm like, okay, what the heck? So we get into Cold Days, and I just know that Harry's going to be walking on thin ice with Mab for a while.
Pun intended.
Yeah, right, exactly, pun intended. And he's like, I know, Joe, you said that you were wondering if maybe maybe I forget which one of you it was saying maybe he was going to get out of it, but like I knew there's no way that Harry's getting out of this. You don't get out of being the Winter Knight unless it's by death, basically.
Yeah, get out in the body bag.
Yeah,
Well,
out of the body bag.
He did kind of die.
He did kind of, yeah.
He got better, but he did kind of die.
Yeah.
Well, that was
you're in some deep doo doo when the Queen of Winter brings you back to life, basically.
I think the first time I read it, though, I thought he would get out of it somehow. I was clearly wrong, but I mean, I think the first read through, like 10 years ago, that is what I assumed would happen, and I was wrong. I'm glad I was wrong because it's good that he suffers the consequences for his decisions and suffers the consequences for his gains in power, and has to deal with that. Like that makes it a better series. Like Jim Butcher's smarter than me, clearly.
It's funny
One thing
too.
that I really love about this series is it's not sugar coated. It's not idealistic. It's like, bad things are going to happen and you're not going to get out of anything easily. Now I don't know, you guys know more than me. I mean, once I catch up to the series, who knows? Harry may get out of it or whatever.
No,
I don't know, but
he won't.
yeah.
yeah.
But,
I mean, he won't get away scot-free with stuff like that. Jim Butcher has established that, right? If he wins a goal, he's going to pay a price, or his friends will, right? Things important to him will suffer.
Well, that's the best thing I've felt about the Dresden Files, because the Dresden Files was really my introduction back to fantasy. And I thought to myself, I went back through it multiple times before I ever started really expanding into these other books and these other authors. And I had this feeling because I started watching BookTube and watching everybody and all talking high praise about all these other books here. So I was like, well, maybe I've been in this bubble of Dresden, and maybe once I start reading these other authors, I'm going to think less. I'm going to think less of Dresden and less of Jim. And it's literally been the opposite. I mean, there are other authors and other books that I love, right? But he is so good at putting stuff together. I don't doubt, like I've watched his interviews and he talks about how he went back to his college teacher. He's like, I have this 20 book outline stuff. And she kind of laughed at him. She goes, that's good. That your first thing is good, but don't come to a publisher with a 20 book thing. Like that's not going to work. I believe that he had like most of this planned out. Like I'm sure he said he's had to change things, but just the way things are weaved in, there's no way he didn't know a lot of this stuff coming in to this. It's amazing. Like he's top tier when it comes to structure and throwing up arcs and having stuff drop and when you're not expecting it. And like there are characters we've been waiting on to come back, and it's just I mean, I don't have enough praise. I can't just keep saying how great Jim Butcher is.
Well, to me, he is to plotting what Stephen King is to pantsing.
Mm-hmm.
King will
That's
write
awesome,
from the
Rosie.
seat of his pants. That is pretty cool. But King writes by the seat of his pants, and he'll go off and he'll write these door stoppers and stuff, and like he's always got good content, but sometimes he'll meander about and everything, and then find his way through the winding forest where Jim before he sets fingers to keyboard, since no one does pen to paper anymore. I honestly think he's already mapped out an entire path through that woods.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he's and I think he listens to the fans. Like King, I love King, right? But King doesn't give a crap. He's like, he goes, I'm gonna write whatever I want to write. You can say whatever you want to say about it, and then either you're gonna buy it or you're not. You gotta
respect it.
But Jim definitely listens because people liked Butters, they liked that first interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Jim said he was supposed to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Butters was just supposed to disappear and be this one-off thing, but the fans kind of liked him, and so he was like, "All right, I kind of like him too. Let's see where we can take him." And Chaz knows where he's ended up at now.
Oh boy,
yeah. That's a hard line to draw, right? People say, "Oh, I love this thing in your book," and you're like, "Well, I want to." Well, if you love it so much, I should throw it into this book 2 and book 3 and book 4. And it's does it really belong there? I struggle with this because people will say "Oh, I like this side character from your first book," and I'm like, I hate to tell you, but that person never shows up again. I wanted to do with them, and I'm sorry, and I'm like, wait, can I bring this kid back? In some later book, and I'm struggling, and it's like, wait, who's who's driving this train?
Well, I know exactly what you mean. People will be like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next with this person, and you're like, I hadn't even really thought about it.
Yeah, they were done. I concluded that story. I was good. I was done. And they're like, what happens after? I don't know.
But yeah, I just love at the beginning of Cold Days where we start off, and he's he wakes up and he's in the best bed he's ever laid in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did he? I think he made it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yo.
Ooh, let's go! He's here.
Alex made it.
Hey, gentlemen.
I like your tagline. You still do YouTube?
That's because I had to troll myself the last live that I was on a few days ago where I hadn't recorded anything in a month.
I was checking your channel. It's where is this guy? I'm apparently he's dead.
Yeah, I died.
Do you know
but
what
I survived?
You know what, Alex? It's there's something about Alex wherever you can't not watch his stuff because he could be gone. Alex can be gone for as long as he wants, and he comes back and his videos still get 2,000 views.
I'm gonna take a 6-month break.
People are waiting with bated breath for your next move, Alex.
I doubt it.
Right.
Hey, I swear I didn't slow play it, but we just got into talking about the first scene of Cold Days.
Yeah, right now we're talking about Harry's sleeping habits.
Yeah. Did we get to his forgetting how to use a fork yet?
Yeah, we just started talking about it, man. Yeah, so and that's what I was saying. He's laying in the most comfortable bed he's ever laid in, and so he's like, oh, this beautiful woman is feeding me chicken noodle soup. What the hell?
And
good life.
unlike every other picture of women in these books, he describes just how much he'd like to have sex with her. I forgot just how deep the male gaze is on these.
It's a mainstay of the series.
Oh my!
Yeah,
I did not.
He is almost perpetually, thirsty.
I mean,
except for Murphy.
If you lived in this world where apparently, at least through his eyes, literally every girl is a 12 out of 10.
Breaking the scales here.
Every
Hey,
woman
man.
is described by how fuckable is she, and the answer is always very.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except Murphy, who he doesn't describe that way, which is this very Madonna horror thing going on.
Yeah,
And
he
the
seems
one
to
he's
have a lot
actually in
more
love with,
respect
he
for
won't
Murphy.
describe that way.
Well, I mean, the difference is like Murphy's just human hot. The rest of these women are like
They're all
fey hot.
supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he even says that when he describes him, he's like supermodels would kill to be as hot as the least hot fairy, even
Right.
for males, and that's not my bag. You know,
I mean, even Thomas is hot. I mean, all the
Yeah.
supernatural characters, man.
yeah.
That's
I
why
mean,
I wrote books in third person so I wouldn't have to do this.
well, and this is the funny thing. This is what I tell some people. I'm like, you know, when Harry's describing it, it's like Jim is not BSing you. He's going to tell you the way. Like, what's the comedians always say? You never want to know what's going on in a man's mind. You know?
Oh yeah.
It's 100% accurate to what men think, but it's not necessarily what I want to be reading. Yeah.
Now, the irony of all this is the person he's describing right now in the book isn't a fae. She can choose, sure, but she's not quite a fae. She can lie, she can do all that fun stuff.
I mean, this is like a lot of times I kind of just go along for the ride, and I'm not really looking to kind of solve all the mysteries in the Dresden books. But this one, right off the bat, I knew some trickery was happening with her. That I wasn't gonna get fooled. I knew something was up.
Yeah.
Not gonna pull the wool over Joe's eyes.
Not this time, not again. Fool me once.
She seemed off from the begining. Like it wasn't.
I mean, if I've learned anything, it's that you can definitely trust Maeve. Maeve is very trustworthy.
Always.
She just looks so innocent.
Yeah.
They were diamonds.
The vajazzling.
They were diamonds. But I love the scene like where they do all the montages of Mab trying to kill Harry every morning.
It was like 77 straight days.
77 murder attempts. I loved it. He's like snakes, scorpions, stinging ants.
And then it was the first time, I think, when it was something simple because he was pretty busted up still. The freaking pillow over his face, and she really doesn't push down too hard. She just wants to see if he'll fight back, and he does. And then she's like, rest well, for tomorrow I shall probably kill you. And you're like, Princess Bride reference.
Yeah, he's like always stealing from the. I love where he goes. She's always stealing from the greats, or did they steal from
her?
I wonder what Jim Butcher's like browser history was like when how did he figure out that when someone's trying to smother you with a pillow, it's actually kind of porous, and if you turn your head to the side, you can still kind of breathe. And I'm like, where did you learn this from? Like, what kind of research were you doing?
Me and Chaz have talked about this. It's like don't look at my browser history.
Yeah,
I'm a writer.
Yeah, right? Every writer, right? Like how to get rid of a body. I'm just for writing.
Yeah, how do you know this stuff? It's like, well, you don't want to know. If you knew, I'd probably have to.
I wanted to make sure I was accurate. I wanted to make sure it was accurate.
Right, exactly.
But like the first, I mean, I don't know if it was because I was so excited about Cold Days or not, but like everything in this book is just great. I know Nathan. This is your favorite book, right?
Yeah,
Nathan?
I think this is probably my favorite. I mean, everything past changes are like to use the Japanese gradings here. They're all S tier. They're all fantastic. But this one right here. Well, the things that show up in this book are my favorite. Big bads of Dresden. So like they got a lot of it cheats.
Yeah,
it's like mouse. It cheats.
It honestly, I was actually rewatching some of my initial review of it, which I hate listening to myself talk. But I remember thinking that as impactful as Changes was, this book does just as much for the series, if not more, especially in the end, where I was just like, damn, so much changes in a couple of pages. It's completely power shift just happens.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. Shit goes down on the island that you're like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Rapid
and
fire.
then and other and major major characters are like the birthday party. Like right after he gets better, you go into the birthday
Santa
party
Claus.
and
He meets Santa Claus.
it's
And
one of
he,
my, like, the best
he like
scenes
fanboys
ever.
over him.
Right.
I mean,
And
it's
it's so
freaking Santa.
weird because as he's writing that and Sarissa is like making fun of Dresden, I'm doing the same thing Dresden's doing.
Right?
I'm sitting there like, I'm like, you are not describing Santa Claus, are you?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
call me Kringle.
Call me Kringle, yes. That was the best moment ever.
Does it seem like he's being set up to become Merlin? Like he's gonna, like at book 25, he's gonna like end and he's gonna like go back in time and do all the Merlin stuff?
I've said that. That's currently a prevailing theory of mine, of many I've got,
I can
because
see
you
it.
know there's so many ways it could go. But I think that's a possibility because Jim is on record saying that Harry's going to break every single one of the laws of magic, and one of them is time travel. So at some point, he's going to travel through time. What is he going to do?
Merlin's breaking time travel. There's no doubt, right? When the description of how he built Demon Reach, it's very,
He
Oh,
totally broke.
they literally say that the way
Yeah.
he built it was like multiple timelines of like him doing it all like
Right.
at the same time.
Same time,
through
yeah.
multiple timelines.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
already
Layers on layers
Yeah.
of
is
time.
Harry going to turn into Merlin? Like he'll be the Merlin at the end of book 25 or whatever, and then it's like, oh no, just take off the.
Yeah, I think actually going back in time and meeting Merlin is going to be essential to Harry's character development down the road.
Oh,
I
they're
have
going to
no doubt
probably.
of that. I would not be shocked at all.
And when they talk about Merlin building Demon Reach, they specifically say it's not actually what he looked like.
Mhm.
Right.
It's like a representation of Merlin.
Yeah.
It's not actually like an actual image of him. And I'm like, huh? Why would they make that point?
No,
Like,
you
why
Because
does
Bob
Merlin-
had to dumb it down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there's also just while we're talking about Demon Reach, the fact that, because I know this is later in the book, so we're jumping ahead, but when Demon Reach is like doing the tour of the asylum and he's just like, here's a bunch of these monsters you've seen before. Harry's like, what, you have multiples? He's like, dude, that ain't shit. There's so much worse down
They
here.
seem
Like,
So,
They got the glow sheets in
Yeah.
minimum security.
Yeah, right. That's so good.
oh man.
So
And then-
done.
Like we meet Eldest Gruff again.
Oh, at the party.
Eldest Gruff is awesome, and they're like, he's like, oh yeah, the whole donut thing. He goes, yeah, you're legendary for that.
That was great.
Oh, and then and I know Nathan was saying like, some of his favorite bad guys, the Red Cap and the Raw Head. Like,
yeah.
oh man, like I know some like my wife, she loves the Raw Head. She thinks it's such a cool concept of a creature and
a bunch of rotten corpse
yeah
pieces going
and,
together.
yeah, and Harry's like, oh yeah, it used to be a problem, hundreds of years ago, but like everybody cleans up, the stuff now. So we haven't seen one of these in a long time, or at least not one big enough to do any damage. I love, and I kind of do the same thing, like in my writing, like where Jim just pulling characters from real mythology and like putting his own little spin on it, and
Cat stuff.
like, yeah, Cat Sith.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh god, I love Cat Sith. That is so.
Yeah,
it's
Cat
an
Sith
out.
is awesome.
It's an out for external validity, right? Like we have this notion of external validity. Like, does your magic system or your science fiction stuff, does it match the real world? And if you have magic that obviously doesn't, I think we have a little bit of an out where we don't care as much if it matches actual mythology, right? Like, so if you have like Ares running around and like doing stuff in your world, it doesn't seem as much of a disruption to your like suspension of disbelief as if you had some like war god who had a name that didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
We sort of feel like it's okay because it's actually, it actually lines up with the real world in the sense that we have myths about this character.
Yeah.
So
That's what I always say. Like, I
Man,
slip up all the times, like, because they're real. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not real, but they're really in our mythos.
But we kind of like we're okay with believing in them a little better than if it was like Steve, the war god, who no one's ever heard of, you know, and you'd be like, what? Wait, why is this guy like here? Like, doesn't make any sense. But if it's Ares the war god or Cat Sith, they're like lethal cat, we're like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, it doesn't like hit our suspension of disbelief as hard. That's my theory.
I loved Harry's reaction to Cat Sith too, right? Because
So-
I mean, the very first thing you're thinking is Star Wars. I'm like, okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
big
fantastic.
Star Wars fan. And then, you know, it was Sarissa or Mab. I don't remember who explicitly or did Cat Sith say that Mab told him to listen to everything Dresden told him to do? I can't remember who said
but
that.
Cat
Mab.
Sith, I think did.
But then he tests it out. He's like, "Go give me a Coke."
Go give me a Coke.
Yeah.
And then he gets him a Coke. He does exactly as he's requested.
Heat me,
Only it's
slave.
Warm.
I spent half these books worried about Harry's blood sugar.
You're right.
Like, they're gonna be diabetic, and
I just love the Cat Sith the whole time, especially if you listen to Marsters do the voice, and he's just like, "I want to kill you right now."
Yes.
Right.
What would you like to? Well, I would like to pull out your vertebrae.
Yeah.
No, Cat Sith is fantastic.
Oh my gosh! But like, it's weird. Like anytime someone says like they're like, "Oh, Cold Days," the first like vision that comes to my mind is Harry at the end of the birthday party where they weren't supposed to spill a drop of blood, but like one of the creatures accidentally like elbowed Sarissa and her nose bled or something, and then Mab's like, "Do it," and he's like, "Infriga Frazzari," blows him up, and then he's like, there will be no harming mortals while I'm here. Does anybody have anything to say about that? And this like Noble steps up and is like says one word, and he's like, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Same thing.
Blows him up.
Casual murder always makes you root for a hero.
I'm just like,
I mean, these are
yeah.
predators. You got to show strength with these
Right.
things.
The people love those moments, right, where the hero just is like, has an excuse to like go full winter night.
yeah.
Right, like you know, that's what he was doing, right? He was going full winter night, and everyone's going to always love those pieces where he has an excuse and he can go full winter night and just like blow someone to smithereens.
hmm
It's always.
I mean, you
gonna-
can see he does a pretty good job of controlling it, but even at some point in this book, I think he's looking at Molly or somebody,
Yep.
and Thomas is like,
Thomas.
"Dude."
Yeah.
He's like, "Dude, that's what I look like when I'm hungry." He's
Yeah.
like, "Cut that shit out."
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, you may not hurt her today, maybe not tomorrow, but you will. You're looking at her like prey.
hmm
See,
Yeah.
and I love that aspect. Like it really like this is the first book that he's actually the winner knight
Mhm.
without some bullshit stipulations on it and whatnot there. Because in Changes, he he was like, "Hey, I'll be your winter knight and everything. Give me all the power, and then like after I save my daughter, I'm yours." So they're not really hitting him with stuff at that point. He just has all the positives, none of the downsides. And in this book, now that he's flesh and blood again, you're getting all those downsides. And like it, because it's a first person book, you're right there in his head and you're hearing all this shit from the mantle, pounding down on him. And he's like, okay, well, I'm a freaking perv. This is just messed up.
Yeah.
But in both these books, it's so beautiful how he keeps doing winter night things and doesn't realize it, and he writes it in such a way that I don't think I, as a reader, didn't necessarily notice it. And then other people pointed out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it kind of was. That was a fake thing to do."
Yeah,
I don't want-
it feels
the
very
next
much like just an extension of who Harry is.
Right, but it's written very cleverly because he doesn't notice it. I feel as a reader, I didn't notice it, and then someone else pointed out, and you're like, "Oh yeah, you're totally right." Like Murphy will point out, like, "You did this thing. It's a very Faye thing to do," and he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I did," and I'm like, I had the same reaction. Like it was very subtle and I think beautifully written.
Well, yeah, I didn't notice that either. You hit it right on the head. I didn't notice when he first came back. The first thing he did was go to get Bob, and then he gave over the skull he made for Bob. I didn't notice until a couple hundred pages later when Butter's having that man-to-man conversation with him. He's like, he goes,
settling debts.
Yeah, he goes, the first thing you do when you come back is you're talking about settling debts. He's like, that's what the Fae do, man. And I was just like, whoa, I didn't catch that right off the bat.
That was beautiful fucking writing. I'm sorry. That was gorgeous, right? Like he did this thing and you didn't notice it as a reader, and then was it Butters who pointed it out? I forget.
Yeah, it was Butters. Yeah,
Points it out, and it's like you're like, oh yeah, and that's hard to pull off, and that's like brilliant. I love that.
And
that
it was a whammy to Harry as well. Like when he gets told that, he's like, oh shit. Like how much of this is me and how much of this is this damn mantle? Like I just love the back and forth.
A worse writer would have hit you over the head with it when he first did it, and he didn't. Jim Butcher didn't. You read it and you're like, oh, this is just nice. He's paying back a debt. That's lovely. He owes Bob. He's paying Bob back. That's fantastic. And then you realize that what it means, and it's I love that. That was so good.
Well, yeah, and you knew that this was going to be a freaking crazy book when Mab leans over into his ear and he's like, "Kill Maeve." And right. And you're just like, what? Like, because Maeve's been this side bad, woman for the whole course of this thing, and you're just like 15 books in, and now
what's his first assignment? She's like, for your first job, kill my
your first. Yeah, your first.
I'm gonna give you an easy one here for your first job.
There's no working up to this. You're going for top run.
Yeah. You sure you don't want something easy? I'll get you a Coke. Right?
Oh my gosh! Okay. But there are so many like scenes in this book that like whenever people me and Nathan are just randomly talking about Dresden that come up, and a lot of them are from this book too, where like the tiny fairies to like where Bob is like losing his shit because like Harry is getting his ass handed to him by all these tiny fairies, and especially like if you're listening to it, just Bob's in the back cackling, tiny fairies.
Right, and then when one of the tiny fairies just happens to end up being a girl, I mean,
was it Lacuna?
19-inch girl.
What's that?
Very fuckable because it's Carrie.
what was that, JR?
Well, yeah, well, that's Toot Toot's like, she's like, oh my god, right? She's so pretty. Let me give you a candy. And you know what? I didn't make the connection until like I was doing like it might have been from my video or something. Somebody mentions like, she's the Tooth Fairy, right? Or a Tooth Fairy, and I'm like, I didn't even make that connection.
Damn, I didn't either.
I didn't either.
Because she talks about you're gonna rot your teeth and all this. I never made that connection. I was freaking course. She's the Tooth Fairy.
I mean, everything else is in these books. You got Bigfoot, you got Santa Claus. Why not the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah, might as well have the Tooth Fairy.
The Tooth Fairy. She's a boxer. She knocks people's teeth out like with her fists. I thought that was fantastic.
She even complains about pizza, junk food pizza. She's like, give me celery.
Yeah,
celery's good for you. It's good for your teeth.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't catch that. That's too funny.
I didn't catch that.
Oh my god! And of course, in almost every Dresden book, you have the two competing things that Dresden has to complete in both of them, and a lot of times it's like the time crunch, right? So the island's going to explode, and then he has to kill Maeve, and you're like, oh, okay, just say goodbye to the Midwest, or you have to kill the third most powerful Fae in the Winter Court. Okay, so not easy work, easy light.
I mean, imagine Demon Reach did just explode and like all that shit just got let loose.
Well, that's the entire eastern seaboard is gone. Now, what we have the shores of Colorado.
It's a really shitty beach.
Oh my god! But I love Thomas in this book. Thomas has some great parts. I mean, he has that part where he's like you said, where he's with Harry and he's like, hey man, I know what it's like to have this animal inside you that just wants to prey. He goes, I'm a predator. Everything I see is is for me to prey on. He's like, that's what you're looking like. And then also I love his interactions with he has so many funny one-liners and stuff. And when Cat Sith pops up And he's like in the back. What's he in the back of the car? And like Thomas almost drives his Hummer, and he's like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! He's like, can you not? He's like, can you not come in like that anymore? And then Harry, like in his head, Harry's like, well, if I tell him not to do it this way, he's probably going to do something worse.
Right?
Yeah, because Sith is not happy about being his little servant and everything, so he's going to do all kinds of stuff to piss him off, or just be creative. But so Cat Sith and Thomas. So when they go back to Thomas's house, Cat Sith demonstrates something I didn't know that any of the Fae could do. He shows up in a house completely uninvited, and like when they're freaking out about that, it was like, how the hell did you even get in here? No one let you in. He's like, well, no, you were asking for me, and that more or less gives me like some kind of implied guest rights or whatnot there. And if you were to attack me, I would disappear without without incident.
Yeah.
But then when you walk out of your house, I'm going to rip your spine out.
Well, yeah, and that's how we figure out what's going on. That's how we figure out with his cleaning service, because
the brownies?
they can enter your house as long as they're not coming in with any malicious intent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Harry's cleaning service happens, because they're just there to clean his house for him. Because Harry had always wondered, he goes, I don't know how they do it. He goes, but apparently they do it, and now we figured out how. It's like, as long as you're not going to mess with me, I guess you. And Thomas is like, you could have told me that. I could have warded this place or something. He goes, these freaky things can just sneak in anytime they want.
Yeah, no, and it wouldn't have mattered because Harry's house was warded, and those fairies still came in and cleaned for him.
That's true. He had good wards too.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, again, he also had a giant freaking centipede, to
over on the other side.
Oh my gosh! But and we figure out why. And another thing that's revealed in this book is why Mab hates Bob.
Yes,
because he knows how to kill immortals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's some important information. You wouldn't want that floating around there.
Mm-mm.
But
it's also so damn obvious once it's brought up to you. You're like, that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems like something that more people would know. That it's like,
well, I mean, who's gonna run up to a god, on Halloween and try to kill him? Who's even gonna be crazy enough to try something like that?
Oh well, and then again, we also learned why people wear masks on Halloween, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because so these other creatures and gods don't try to attack you, because it could be a bigger, stronger god underneath the mask.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a clever little thing that Jim put in there.
Yeah, that was.
But it wasn't the best sold secret. Like, it was a little off. Like, you're like, oh, that's too easy. And then the other thing that I thought was too easy in this book was who was it? Okay, I'm sorry. Move on. I'm gonna remember in a minute what I was wanting to say.
Well, and again, with amazing scenes, you have the scene where Harry first goes to Titania, and she really wouldn't help him, so he ends up going to Mother Winter, and I just knew that was a bad idea.
Yeah,
you can't just
that was
over
great though. That's one of my favorite scenes in the book.
With Mother Winter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but you can't skip over Titania. Like, that interaction was great. He tries to call her down. He's got 3 or 4 different layers of wards over him. In a circle. She drops down because he's he's basically just calling her, and then she's got no reason to suspect that he's just going to ask her some questions. So she drops down in full warrior regalia, ready for a fight, and just her landing takes out 2 of the 3 wards, and she comes over and he's like, I don't want to fight you, man. I just want to ask you some questions, and she's like, nah. You killed my daughter. You gave her an iron death, the worst kind of death that you could give a fae. She was pissed, and honestly, she's reasonably justified in it. And but she was like, "All right, I'm not gonna kill you. Through years of counsel with Eldest Gruff, he's taught me, he's shown me that I shouldn't do that. But I ain't helping you for shit." And then she just pisses off, and he's like, "Well, great. Now I got to go to a bigger fish." Hence the Mother Winter.
Yeah.
And then he pisses her off. Like he's just pissing all the
Who
damn.
does Harry not piss off in this
Who
series?
does the
Well,
not
granted, Mother Winter seems like a bitch to begin with, so she's easy to
They're the Fae. Of course they are.
Well,
Yeah.
someone stole her walking stick.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty sure we all know who that is.
Mother Summer or Spring or whatever. At least she's relatively nice, right?
Well, she also
Right.
has wormwood on her shelf, so she's
Right.
nice for now.
I just picture both of them as just like old ladies in like rocking chairs.
Rocking chairs.
I used to run this world.
Now we sit in a cottage.
These young whippersnappers don't know what it's like, Rose. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I love that. Like where she's just holding him down with pure will. She's not even touching him. And she's just talking about like
sharpening a cast iron cleaver to show that she's not like weakened by the damn iron or whatnot. I thought that was pretty cool. It went to show you that she's just a step above the rest. She's not gonna mess around. She's stuck in a cottage for the most part. But if you really wanted to fuck with her, you're gonna regret the shit out of that.
Well, and then of course, it is only an awesome line because it's in the Dresden Files, because it just works. Where Harry is figuring out, like it clicks in his head that how he can get out, and it's just about will, and like mortals have the strongest will or whatever, and he's like, no one can chain the Hulk. And he's just,
Yep.
Harry smash.
and I'm just like, oh my god, Harry, the Hulk.
Yeah.
But it worked. I was like, that's something. That's something that Harry would say.
Well, I mean, and as a final screw you, she like as soon as he breaks through, she just throws the damn cleaver at his head, and then I think he dodges it or deflects it. It lands into the wall, and she's like, "Okay, now we're done with that. What do you want?"
Right.
Well, it's kind of like a map thing. Okay, you proved your worth. And so now we can have a conversation.
Yeah, but Harry going from like powerful person he knows to powerful person he knows to like try to get answers to like what he should do. In this book, it felt a little arbitrary to me. I'm not getting that there's a clear hierarchy of you go to A, B, C, and D. It's just sort of like, how did he know to go to these people and not other people to get his answers? And if there's like a clear way to like establish what he should have done and make it understandable to the reader, I missed it.
Well, I think because he's with the Fae now, and that he figures he might as well stay within the Fae to get information. I mean, he probably could have went to Vadron, and
Well, yeah, he did do that.
Am I mixing my books? I read them both in 5 days.
No, I mean, it's understandable, but I think it's just he decided that he's just gonna climb the ladder of the Fae since it's a Fae issue.
Well,
and to see it.
I think there is some ambiguity. It's up for some form of interpretation on that. I came to the conclusion that he's supposed to kill Maeve. That's sort of a Fae family affair, and he just kind of went through the the queens in that regard. But again, it's not explicitly stated or anything.
Alex, what did you think about when he went on the walk with Mother Summer?
When they like find out how many of the others are just like constantly attacking, and there's like tens of thousands of them.
Yeah,
nonstop.
When I first read this, because I initially didn't love Summer Night the first time around, because I didn't really care about the Fae. I thought this was like a better version of that, where we get this a better scope of what the Fae are up to. And when they did that entire walk, and she's just like, here's what's really going on that you guys are too stupid to understand. Like, if we don't protect this, like, all of you die, because this is what we're up against. And that's when you start to learn a little bit about the outsiders, and that comes back later, obviously at McAnally's. But that whole scene was great. I mean, it was basically a big exposition dump, but I was cool about it because it's like you're playing a video game. It's like here's the NPC walking you through, showing you the scenery. Like, there's an army of outsiders that's going to murder all of us unless we defend this. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it went to show how much of an order of magnitude higher Mab's army, her reserves were versus the summer court, and everybody like that was immortal, like the White Council, everyone's projections of those numbers are just a drop in the bucket compared to what she has, but she's got good reason to have them. And like I love that they went like Mother Summer explicitly saying Mabs exists to keep the outsiders out of reality. That's her job. The Summer Court exists to protect the mortals from her. And like that's our job, and for the most part, she's not going to mess with the mortals and everything. But when she does, we're here for that.
But it's a huge moral shift in the series, right? Because all of a sudden, Mab, instead of being just sort of evil and a thing you've got to deal with, who's terrible and like just a danger to everybody, instead is now incredibly important to protecting everybody from the outsiders who are the real danger. It's like a huge moral shift for Mab, where like all her cruelty is just her way of trying to be efficiently protecting humanity from the outsiders instead of just a cruel thing that's there.
I mean, also, you always have, through all of this, you always have to remember that we're only getting Dresden's point of view of all this. So, like, we're kind of learning along with him, whereas in the first couple of books, like, the scope is so tiny, and you just learn more and more of, like, how big all of these things are, and that's much bigger than anything that he knew about. And the more you get into the Fae and like way beyond the vampires at this point, like the vampires are nothing. Like the Fae are defending us from like another worldly being that could even defeat the Fae. It's just like the power levels just keep going up and up and up. And then you have like Titania, and you've got all everybody else that comes later. It's just the power level just keeps going up. I think Dresden's just going to become like a Super Saiyan at some point.
I'm here for that. I will read that.
But that's what's so good about it. It's so hard. If you read like Sandman Slim by Richard Kadri, or so many other urban fantasies, or so many other superhero type stories, they save the world in book 1 or 2, and then you're like,
nowhere to go.
Now we're going to save the multiverse. Well, that's lovely. Now you get to book 3 or 4. What are you going to do for the next 14 books?
Joe's out here taking shots at Marvel right now.
Everyone's got the problem, and to harken back to DBZ, Dragon Ball, they were like the defining culprit of this power creep, power seep. Oh man, we have this universal destroying big bad. Oh, I've gotten strong enough to kick its ass.
But now there's another
30 minutes
one.
later, there's another one twice as strong. Where do they keep coming from? What's going on?
That's why Dragon Ball Super was like on multiple universes fighting in one big tournament. It's like, well, what else are you going to do? But they did an okay job of it with what they had. But so many stories have a hard time. Like I love Sandman Slim. I love Richard Kadri. But like he saves the world in book 1. I'm like, well, and after that, it's a little tough to deal with what happens after. Like, oh, I'm going to save the world again. Well, no one cares.
Yeah.
The biggest and most important aspect to that, in my opinion, is to manage your power scaling. Manage it and keep it as a slow drip. And I think for the most part, Dresden Files has been pretty good about that. Like he really hasn't gotten an overt power bump since getting the Winter Knight's mantle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still gradually getting stronger and stuff as he uses his powers and stuff, but they're not that much.
It's very It's very gradual and slow, and it's lovely, and it's hard to do. I'm speaking as an author of a book series. It's hard to get that nice gradual escalation of stakes where it doesn't feel like, oh, I saved the world in book 1. What are you going to do next?
Yeah. Well, and that was my big thing coming into writing my series. It's like I'm not making any of my characters OP, especially not even in the beginning, because to me the best thing is what Jim Butcher does. He's like, I love seeing the hero get his ass kicked, and then you have to figure out a way
which he
to
does
come back, come back and beat things, and a lot of times beat things that are more powerful than him by the time he does it. So when you do get to the next book, you're not thinking that the character is now as strong as the thing he just defeated. It's because he used friends and allies and tricks and things. So you're not like, oh, well, now he's world tier and
And he didn't save the world in Stormfront.
No.
right? Like he was doing small things, and he's still
Yeah.
not really saving the world necessarily.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. He's
really
constantly
close.
learning. He's constantly figuring out what's going on. He's so naive about a lot of things, and that's one of the things I loved about this interaction between Mother Summer and Mother Winter. They're like, should we tell him? Oh, I don't know if he's ready. But we
Yep.
probably should tell him. We need to tell him. No, I'm not quite sure he needs to know yet. And
Yeah.
they keep
Well-
going back and forth.
Well, I mean, they're doing that with the concept of the Starborn. You know, like they're Harry's got this special little
Well, and that's a
nice.
well, and that's the thing too. It's like that happens to Harry throughout the entire series. It's like people just keep stuff from him all the time because there's always that thing with him keeping stuff from people, but he's also getting stuff kept from him constantly. Like we find out here shortly is the gatekeeper. We figure out that the gatekeeper's known about all this stuff the entire time.
Yeah. He's
And
like,
he's like,
"Oh, hi,
"Oh."
Harry."
He's like, yeah, I didn't
like,
think you'd
"You're
make it
here?"
out here for a few more years. I was just like, what?
Well, okay, so that scene and everything. One thing I really enjoyed about it and everything, and I was right there in the same headspace as Harry is when he sees that at the edge of reality, the edge of the never, and everything, and he looks over and there's the outer gate, and he's like, wait a minute. I thought that was a metaphor. What? There's a real physical gate? And I'm like, yeah, I thought it was a metaphor too, man. Like, I didn't think they'd have a giant gate somewhere.
It's got a sign above it that says the outer gate and everything.
Well, welcome
End
to
of
the
the
outer
line.
gates.
You like tour guides, like $10 for like a tour of the outer gate, right? Like people throwing water bottle, like a stand. Use water bottle. Do you need water while you visit the outer gate?
Bob's out there selling, magazines to people about it.
Magazines. You need like a little elevator to take you up to the outer gate for a small fee.
Oh my god.
Oh.
But yeah, and then we also find out what's been kind of behind everything, all this time is Nemesis, and
we don't quite know what it is yet, at this point.
Well,
but
yeah, right.
we know that it's behind all this crap. I mean, I think they even harken that all the way back to not Kravos. What was his name? The Stormfront, the Warlock and Stormfront. Even he was being influenced by the damn stuff.
Yeah, the bells.
Here's our big bad.
Yeah, it's like that's been kind of the overlord of what's been going on, and of course we have an interaction with a walker again.
Yes, that was so badass. And of course, when it gets introduced, they're at Mac and Alley's and everything, and just chilling and talking to Mac. And is this the point where Mac actually utters more than a single words utterances to Harry, and he's like, "Oh, this shit's actually serious." He's using sentences.
He also gets mad at Harry because like after that whole interaction, he's like, "I told you I'm out."
I'm out.
And you're like, "What the hell does that mean?"
Watcher.
Out?
Yeah.
Watcher.
Yeah, Harry's just wanting to know, what are you, Mac? And he's like, no, I'm not a word. I'm out.
Mac's a way better character than Harry Dresden, unfortunately.
Right.
I'd much rather read a series about Mac.
There's so many, weird things about Mac and who is Mac? What is Mac? And why is
Mac? How is Mac?
Yeah, I think we're starting to realize that his superpower is not just making great beer.
Right.
He does make you drink it warm though, which I'm just offended by.
Yeah.
A
little too European.
I mean, apparently that's the thing. Apparently that's the best way to experience Guinness.
So I've been told,
Really?
and it's a lie.
It's
warm
a lie.
beer makes me want to throw up.
Did you say it's a lie?
Yes, I hate warm beer.
This tastes like
disgusting.
piss.
It's
it's like a-
disgusting.
It's a
I've
beer
had this
style.
conversation in my Discord before with somebody trying to argue that it should be at a certain temperature, and I was like, no, make that shit cold.
Did you
Because
say
otherwise I'm
back
not
to
drinking.
them?
Well,
Either
to
agree
be
with me
fair,
or
I
be
heard
wrong?
it's best to experience it warm in Ireland. I don't know about once it makes its way over to the States. So.
Fair enough.
I have this argument with people. I have this argument: people drink tequila cold all the time. People drink tequila on ice, and I'm like, no, don't do that. You're losing all the flavor. But they don't listen to me, and that's fine.
I can't do tequila. It's been over 11 years since I've wanted to taste tequila. It's one of those things.
It's nicknamed
You have
tequila
that,
for a reason.
it leaves scars.
It's all bad. It's all bad.
My brain now is going on live streams of drinking tequila.
Oh,
It's become my my signature.
Well, that's what
I have whiskey tonight.
that's what I said. Like last time we were on,
Oh my
I
god!
won with you and everybody else. I'm the only one that didn't have any alcohol, so I had to bust out the new.
and of course he gets a freaking monster beer. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
It's such lies.
Me
That's
and
not
AR,
beer.
me and AR are buddies. So before that live stream, we're like, we should drink and do whipped cream shots. And I don't know why it happened, but it did until we started doing it. And
Alex, I had the same
mad.
face as you just now. When I seen them do it, I'm like, what? What did I come into, guys?
By the end, I was trashed, and you set me up for the best joke I've ever done on video or anywhere else. And I was like, I'm gonna take my microphone, I'm gonna throw it away.
Mic
done.
drop.
I'm gonna stop writing books. I'm gonna leave the internet. I'm gonna turn off my
I've made
Wi-Fi. Because I peaked.
Oh
I
my
was very
god!
excited. But that was good.
But yeah, and then later to keep rolling into the book here, we get back into when the wild hunt is coming back
Oh
through.
man, the wild hunt, yeah.
Turn.
Oh,
And
dude,
Harry takes the freaking thing over. I'm like, what?
I just kicked Santa Claus's ass.
And then we learn why, because Santa had to let him have one.
Yeah.
I just love that Santa is basically a Dark Souls character. He's just walking around with a giant greatsword.
Right?
Right?
Everything's
you didn't
in
think
red.
I was with
red
the
and white.
summer, did you?
What?
What?
I didn't
Where
hear
where Kringle was like, you didn't think I was with the summer, did you?
it.
He's like, I can't believe you're
great.
out there hunting.
That was good. Really well done.
Oh my gosh! And then
The both let him kind of have the hunt
Yeah.
and everything. Like Hearn takes a shot that was like, a little pissant bullet or something into his shoulder. He's like, I'm lamed. I can't go any further. Then Santa's like, all right, I got this. And Harry goes up and punches him in the face or something and whatnot. And he's just like falls on his ass. And he's like, oh, there you go. You've earned the hunt.
well, the best part is like Harry still doesn't know what to do. He keeps looking over at the Earl King like,
What?
yeah, we can do that, right? Like, he's like, just tell it. The Earl King's like, just tell it to do it, Harry. Like, let's go. Can we sink a barge?
Yeah.
Please.
They admit at the end that they were letting him have it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's fair.
and talking about like messing with time and stuff is where they sent Kringle off to because somebody was
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like a temporal shockwave or something. And
yeah.
he wrote it to its source or some crap, and Harry's like, "Where did he go?" And Hearn's like, "I think the right question there is when." And he went back, an hour or two ago when the source of that temporal distortion. He'll catch back up with us in a bit.
Yeah, and I just love that Santa Claus has that power.
How does he think he hits all the houses?
World? How does he
Right?
make it all over the world to deliver
It
toys?
all makes sense now.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you're going to talk about this sequence of events, you got to bring up the fact that Harry's riding, on a motorcycle with Karen, driving it around and everything. He has a little badass herself, and once he gets the hunt and whatnot, there he's like, just drive off the pier. And she's like, "The hell you say? Don't worry about it. Just drive off the pier."
It's
You know,
gonna
then-
work.
And the bike gets wrapped up in the hunt or something and turns into a Jaguar
Yeah.
or some
They also
panther or
kiss on the
something.
bike.
Yeah. Well, and I love what Harry says. He goes, "This isn't the craziest thing I've asked you to do. This isn't even the craziest thing I've asked you to do today." He's like, "Let's go."
She's like, "Ah, you got a point there." And sure as shit, just like all the rest,
And there's some
drives right off onto that water.
there's some poetry there, right? Like we've seen the Great Hunt really early in the books. I don't remember which book. but,
Deadbeat.
it was definitely the first
7?
two.
Yeah, it was like book 7, Deadbeat.
Okay, that's later than I remembered, but what do I know?
They might have mentioned it before,
Well,
but
yeah,
Deadbeat
maybe
is
they
when
mentioned,
the
but that's the
Earl
first
King
time I
actually
heard-
comes down and they
Yeah.
fight and do all that.
but they're like an adversary, and then now he's bringing it in as the thing that saves the day, and it's a nice, very anime-like touch.
Which book was it when Thomas tells Harry that he joined the Wild Hunt?
That was 7. That was
That
the
was
same
that
one.
in
was
Deadbeat?
Deadbeat, I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Like,
But
it
yeah,
catches-
like
Some of
And
it's
then,
all
like-
blur.
right.
yeah,
So many of them.
and they fight. The Wild Hunt fights their way through, and then Harry ends up at the top, and I loved his interaction with Fitz. Fitz is not
Fix.
I thought it,
Fix.
Oh yeah,
that was
the
fixed.
summer.
Fix. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
oh, man,
mean,
we jumped further now. That was after him dealing with Sharkface.
Oh yeah.
well, yeah, the psychic attack that he got hit with.
And then he just redoubles his will, and he's like, he drops down 3 times to it. What's your name? In 3 different more powerful ways, and the thing goes, I am Gatebreaker, I am Hope Slayer. And then he finally says, I am he who walks before, and you're like, oh, we heard about one of you guys before, and there are 3 of them, so there's another one that hasn't been named yet.
It's it's probably gonna be he who walks beside, right? That's what eventually
Probably.
this guy
Yeah,
you
that
have
sounds about
behind,
right.
you have before,
Could be within though,
within, yeah, could be.
or above. He walks above you, spits on your head.
But yeah, I love his interaction with Fix because it's like, he's already told Fix that I don't want to fight you, and he actually ends up saving Fix from the Summer Lady, because Maeve was missing with her, like with the distortion, like the sound. So it was making it sound like Harry was. We don't know what Harry was saying, but evidently it was not good.
Right.
And we kind of skipped over a kind of a plot point or plot thread or whatever that got us to that point. But like Harry got told by Mab, kill Maeve, she's the problem. Then he went and talked to Lily, the Summer Lady, and she's like, I've been talking to Maeve. She told me straight up that Mab's the one that's infected. She's the problem. So for a little while in the book, you're like, which one's the problem? Who's he gonna have to fight or kill? And then when he gets to I think it's when he gets to the wall, the outer gates and everything, talking to the gatekeeper, he's like, yeah, no one has any ability to see the corruption. Only I can kind of like do it a little bit with this eye, which is made of the gate. And then I think that's when Harry was like, I've been freaking lied to.
Right?
I have the
Who
most
would've thought?
trustworthy character in the entire series, Maeve.
Well, it's such a game changer that Maeve can lie, right?
Yes.
Like that's
Yes.
the thing.
Right?
He has to reconceptualize everything he understands about the whole power dynamic and the whole structure of who's on what side.
Right.
I didn't think that was really well pulled off. Like, he's kind of like, oh, she wants me to kill Maeve, I guess I should, and then he doesn't really think about it too hard, and then he gets to the point where he realizes Maeve's not really the problem. I thought that was the weakest part of the book. Like, you don't really get a real feeling for conflict within Harry about whether he should or shouldn't kill her, and then realizing he should and why. It wasn't it was like kind of waffly.
Yeah, you're saying that, like, that he's not getting any internal struggle about it. He's not going, well,
Not enough.
I
He seemed to hear from Mab that he needs to kill Maeve, and he's like, all right, I guess I should.
Yeah, like treats it as gospel.
Yeah, and then he realized he shouldn't. He's like, oh, I guess I shouldn't. And it doesn't seem like a strong enough swing either way. It should have been like a more dynamic arc. Should I kill her? Should I not kill her? Why would I have to kill her? Is she really on the bad side? And all while Mab is being recontextualized as actually the hero of the whole story. Because Mab is saving everyone from the outsiders who are the shark face, right? They're just out to kill everybody for no particular reason.
Well, it also, recontextualizes Mab from the last few books. You find out that the reason she couldn't talk was that she was furious and in sort of mourning about the fact that Maeve had been infected by Nemesis.
Yeah.
And so you know, like she just like since her voice is a part of her power, she couldn't talk, so she had all these little underlings talking for her and stuff like that.
I don't think
So I
Harry
thought that was
figures that out. I don't think he thinks like, oh, maybe that's why she's been so off the last while. He just sort of goes with it. And it could have been stronger. That's all I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, when we figure out, you know, Sarissa is actually her daughter.
Yeah, that was wild.
Sister of Maeve. Yeah,
I knew something was up with her, but I wasn't like, I did not think that was going to be the thing. I was like, oh my gosh. And then of course you get the, you know, Maeve diatribe about like, oh, mother's never loved me. She only loves you, you know.
and Sarissa's like, she made you the Winter Lady.
Yeah.
Literally the Winter Court princess,
Mm-hmm.
and I am her personal assistant. But you got to go to Disney World with her.
By that point, Maeve was like a cartoon villain. Like,
Very much.
Just petulant. She's just. She's a
that
petulant
is
child.
Maeve though. Like I'm pretty sure he leaned into that because she's just the most like spoiled narcissist, like crazy,
Totally.
kind of out there, mustache twirly.
Yeah, she is the
villain at
most.
some point.
Oh, and then she starts going on sort of a lying spree of just lying about random crap
Mhm.
because she's just so drunk with the novelty of being able to do it. And
Yeah.
the thing I loved about like the whole lying aspect is that okay, so Harry was banking on the immutable fact that Faye can't lie. So she could say the shittiest lie imaginable, and the fact that it came out of her mouth as if it's a certainty, he's like, that's true. That's absolutely true. The sky is in fact green. Well, how the hell did I think it was blue this whole time? You know, like
they both. But that was Lily's problem also, right? Like Lily,
yes, exactly. She took it as gospel because you know they can't lie.
right.
And then Nemesis gives him that ability and everything, and you know,
Harry even says he's like Maeve, it's not a superpower. He's like, you're going down the wrong path.
Right.
And she's like, I have, and then like when Harry and this is one thing where I was like, how did it take Harry so long to think about this? But like the whole calling Mab down at the last
the
second,
whole place is a summoning circle.
I just love how he's like Mab, you know, just like
I summoned you.
You know, super quick, and then she drops down, and the whole place like frosts over, and she's got black eyes, and you know, and like Maeve is just running her mouth like she was gonna get out of this, like she's just running her mouth to Mab. I'm like, yeah, you're dead somehow.
Yeah, but I mean, it did kind of. Maeve got what she wanted, and then Mab ultimately got what she wanted because they're all thinking, you know, 5 steps ahead. That whole scene was wild.
Well, Mab had Sarissa, you know, groomed up as a backup for me, and that's what she was trying to execute. At that time, you know, she was like, Harry, kill Maeve, and you know, we got a backup, we're good. And Maeve throws a wrench in that plan pretty hard, and it's abrupt.
What did you think, Chaz? Because I say you just finished this.
My
not too long
goodness.
ago.
Yeah, when that first happened, and Lily dies, and
anticlimactically too, just bullet to the head, doom, done.
Yeah, exactly. That was so crazy. And then of course Sarissa becomes the next available body, and so now she's the Summer Lady, and I'm like, and then I finally realized what was happening. I'm like, no, Mab, you cannot have Molly.
Right? As a backup for her backup, because it's Mab.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was like, no.
Yeah, because you know what? I don't know about you guys, but when that happened, it almost felt like the bitch stole her from us. You know, from me. I was like, you took my Molly, you dirty monster.
It was snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Right?
Yeah.
Like you can win, but you'll still lose.
What is that called, Nathan? Is that what kind of what kind of gambit is that?
Xanatos's gambit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
she always wins. She always it's just how she's gonna win.
Yeah, she's always going to win a little bit, like you pull like Xanatos Gambit off and everything. You've got plans A, B, C, and D. If D still goes through, you still won a little bit, but you still lost this much.
Yeah.
You got to love Gargoyles. What a classic.
You got to wonder, too, if somehow deep down Mab didn't know that Molly was going to be the winter lady, because you find out that Lananshi has been grooming Molly this whole time.
Yeah.
So she obviously must have known that at the very least Molly was going to be a backup just in case Sarissa didn't work out. So she's got a backup
from the backup.
From the backup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I love how she's like, I thought she'd actually be better as the summer lady, but hey.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And then and then we get one of the best, things after Murphy, ends up killing, Maeve, because, and like Harry sees it coming, but Maeve is just like, oh, break your chains. Oh, here's a, kind of like nudges a gun over there. He's like, oh, there's a gun, Murphy. What?
And then Murphy's like, ha, pa, I'm the hero. And then you just picture, like the man, like it coming off and be like, who's near me? And there's Molly. Like,
and she was veiled away, hidden in a corner, trying to think of the best way to, execute something in the situation. And then it's the dialogue, something like, and then you heard a snap, and then or something like that, which was Molly's reaction to the mantle hitting her.
Oh man, Harry was so pissed at Mab.
Oh my god!
Like he put a gun in her face and everything. Mm-hmm. And then like I love how Maeve she just takes the gun from him. And she puts it to his head or whatever, and Demon Ranger's standing right behind her. He's like, she pulls that trigger, you take her below, and he's like, oh shit.
Well, and the best part about that to me, like those are two legitimate threats he just dropped in front of Mab. He pulled the trigger, she's dead. But then again, she also was like, yeah, if you do that, if you do that, kill her right away, kill Molly right away, because you're doing her no favors. And then the Demon Reach threat, two awesome, legit threats right to Mab, and she actually appreciated it. She's like, finally, maybe I'll have a freaking night that's worth something. And I loved that. I thought that was just the best.
Lloyd was a wuss, but man, you might be okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love it. And then so after that there was a little wait in between Cold Days and Skin Game.
About a year, I think. Wait, do you mean the release schedule?
Yeah, I think it was like two and a half,
3
years.
2.5, 3 years, around there.
It was like a couple minutes for me.
Same, yeah. I'm like,
this is where I had to wait a little bit, so I was I was kind of in that like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? But I will, like, before we really get into it, like Skin Game, I think Changes is the best book, but Skin Game is my favorite.
Skin Game is just fun.
I freaking love a high. I am a what to be non-PC. I am a slut for heist movies and books. I love it. Like,
it's a nice team up, and
like
the team is insane.
Inside Job, the Italian Job, freaking Ocean's 11. I love it.
Oh yeah,
Ocean's 11 with like a bunch of villains from the.
That is what this is. It's Ocean's 11. Like everybody has a specialty.
Okay. I'm not going to get into what it is yet because let's get there organically. But one of the things that makes me love this book is its reread bonus. And we all know what that is. At least I hope so.
Well, I probably do, but I'm not sure where you're going with it.
The reveal and everything that, the conversations and everything that have double meaning.
Oh,
the reread bonus.
But
I'm sure I know what you're talking about, but my mind's not.
Oh gosh! Now I feel like some.
I mean, we're gonna
here. I was like, did you guys see
you are weird
part of the book? Shut up! I know where you live, man.
talking about Goodman Gray, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Goodman Gray, and
Okay.
you know,
say it with
everything rolled
me.
from him.
Say it with me. Good man. Good man.
Goodman,
Oh my God.
Goose Fraba.
Oh, he's so good. And then of course, you know, we hold on 1 second though. Hold on 1 second.
Quick, talk about the book while he's gone.
Right.
Yeah, you guys like that part with the stuff and the thing? That was the best part.
That was the worst part, actually.
What do you mean, Alex? Come on.
The good part was just the stuff.
Oh, let's kick
Gotta
the
get the
hinges
Night
off
of the
the
Holy
front gate
Cross
of this
t-shirt on.
freaking video. All right, he's
There we
back,
go.
baby.
Oh my God. Whoa, great to jump like what, halfway through the book?
Right.
We know he's a.
You want to just talk about the Carpenters because they've had a shit run of luck the last 2 books.
Right.
Let's talk about
Their
it.
daughter's a fairy princess. The patriarch's
evil
all
fairy.
busted to hell.
I love the whole innuendos. Like when he first goes and talks to Michael, like they think that Harry is hooking up with Molly.
Well, no, he thinks that that's what they think.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
also,
he's
he's
before we get to
projecting that onto them. They're
At the
not-
point
And
that
the
I
problem
read-
with that
at
is
the
that
point that
Harry
I
leaves
read
it
Cold
open,
Days-
so it's a logical assumption.
'cause
Mhm.
Harry's a moron. But
Yeah, right. Exactly.
the first time when I first finished Cold Days, I was like, this solidifies in my brain that Molly and Harry is gonna happen. I won't say anything beyond like what happens in the next books, but like at that point, I was like, this is definitely happening.
Oh,
Oh
please,
my
no.
God.
To the detriment of everyone reading this series.
I don't want that.
Anyway, Skin Game.
But yeah, we of course, you know, we kind of talked about at the beginning of the video, you know, parkour,
Yep.
So you know, he's what we
That
start
was
off.
great.
He's running down the hallways of Demon Reach,
Yeah, like
and,
the deep recesses of Demon Reach.
I was
and
just picturing The Office the whole time.
parkour.
The thing is, I love that so much. I feel like if I were an athlete, I would do the same thing. If I had like physical abilities and I could run through the halls of Demon Reach and the caves and like jump over stuff, I'd shout parkour. Damn it!
Well, I think there are just 2 words that sum that up. You gotta. You gotta.
Yeah,
You gotta.
I loved it.
I love how all the dark gods and creatures are like either like bartering or threatening him. Like, I will eat your bones. I will liquefy you.
Right.
Please, I can give you pleasures you've never had. You know,
And then
like-
just one just keeps saying blood.
Yeah, and then there's that one that just says, "Yeah, leave me alone."
Yeah, he's like,
this has been like this is one of the big theories. Like, is that Merlin? Because
that's a
he
good.
sounds
because-
British.
Because yeah, he said all he does is sound like British, and he's very like who are you? Someone who needs to be here. Piss off. And I'm just like,
If it's future Harry, if he talks to himself, there's gonna be all kinds of problems. You're gonna break the timeline, right?
you know, but like
My theory.
that, you know, and then I love how like Mab cons Harry. She's like, oh yeah, I've been intercepting all your letters to Molly. Even I know she's the only one that can help you out with the parasite in your head. But I've been taking all your letters. And he's
Oh,
like, you ass. Like,
just to throw in there, he even on Demon Reach, he's been getting progressively more and more painful and powerful headaches
Yeah.
and everything as the year had gone by.
That's pregnancy, man.
Those pregnancy pains.
Yeah,
He's got a
I
baby in
don't-
his head.
I don't remember what it was when she was like, she had like the opal earring. What did he say? He said,
You
don't
gotta
put it on
left
the
ear.
right.
No,
Don't-
no,
don't-
don't put it on the right.
Don't put it on the right ear.
Yeah. And she's like, "What does it matter?" And he's like, "It's a human thing."
It's a human thing. You wouldn't understand.
What a throwback to like 1995.
I know.
Right.
That's what I was
Still a thing.
thinking. I was like, when was this written? Because I remember that as a thing. But
Yeah.
that's been how
That was
long-
a thing when I was in like middle school. Like,
Yeah.
right. You
He's
have
got
to
an ear
have it
piercing.
on
I'm
a
like,
certain ear, it means you're gay. If you have it on the left ear, it means you're small.
Yeah.
I'm older than you. I feel like Jim Butcher is like my age, like me from like 25 years ago, who like hasn't like left his lair to like read a book since then. Because like half the stuff he does feels like stuff I would have written 25 years ago. Like the
Yeah.
whole like what Sarah said it so well a couple of videos ago. Like there's so many scenarios where Dresden's like, oh, this super hot woman is available to me, but I'm not going to have sex with her. And I'm like, if you did that, it'd be like rape of some sort or another. And you're like giving yourself like a huge cookie for like not raping someone. I'm like, I mean, I'm glad you're not raping them, but like, do you have to like pat yourself and like, how long are your arms that you're patting yourself on the back so hard?
I mean, he is like 8 feet tall, so he's got some long arms.
Rape or, you know, it was just, again, like I said, Sarah said it really well. It was a few videos ago. I watched a replay, and I feel like it's something I would have written when I was 25. I'm 52, right? And Jim Butcher's my peer, and I'm like, we had a different understanding of like consent and stuff because we're older, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you got to grow out of that, man. You got to stop.
That's honestly, I think from the most often when I hear people that don't like the series, it's because like specifically how Harry is written, which like it makes sense that a bunch of dudes are talking about it. And it's like, you should probably stop, but like we can still enjoy the series. And it makes total sense that other people are like, this is terrible. Like, why would you rate like this?
I didn't know. Here's the thing. I'm 52. I didn't notice it when the first 3 times I read it. Right.
I mean, the books are fun, but then when you like think about it, you're like, that's.
Reading it now, I'm like, oh my god, dude, you gotta pull back a little bit because Harry's just patting himself in the back, like, oh, I didn't statutory rape this girl.
Well, there's so many things. Like me and my wife, I forget what show we were watching, but we were watching a show that was written 20 years ago, and we loved it. I forget what show it is. We were having a riot, but my wife was like, they would never get away with this nowadays.
That's everything. Go back and watch Friends. Friends has so many homophobic jokes that it's like every other joke.
Frasier.
Yeah, I mean that was like the 90s though. That's what I'm saying. Like all of the 90s comedy, like half of it was gay jokes, and that's just like that's what happened. Now it's like you definitely can't write that anymore.
No,
it's like that. That's why those shows are the highest viewed shows on Netflix and everything. But it's like I definitely don't watch those shows anymore. Like, that's not funny.
You can watch them, but you gotta keep it in mind that this is not.
You have to. It's a time capsule.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And at least, I mean, it was funny. Seinfeld. They kept trying to emphasize not that there's anything wrong with that.
That's what.
They kept that whole episode. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, you're trying too hard, guys.
Yeah, right.
Just stop.
Oh my gosh. But I loved, like, anytime Nicodemus shows up, the book.
Look at the professional just immediately pulling it back to the book we're supposed to talk about.
Did you like that transition?
I did.
Got us on track. It's a task.
Oh my gosh.
He's got the cross on his chest. He's got to.
He's fighting the good fight.
In nomine Dei.
Oh god.
Codosorium.
All right, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Anytime that Michael does do that, I get chills.
Oh my god!
Like every time in the book, it's ridiculous. There's no rhyme or reason, but it's just his delivery. He's just like the conviction in the voice.
Yeah, because knowing his character, we know how much he actually means it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah, and I think you'd be annoyed if he was the main character and you wrote like 20 books about him.
Yeah.
No. He's a support character. You
get like the perfect amount of Michael and his righteousness.
Right. You don't get tired of it, and you don't feel it's sanctimonious, because he's a side character.
Yeah, but also like Jim goes far enough to basically prove that like Michael might actually just be right when he says half this shit. At least like in this series, like Michael does stuff, and he's just like, you just have to have faith, Harry. And that, like,
Michael also is walking the walk, right? Like he says, you should sacrifice yourself for your friends, and he's happily to do it. He's happy to walk in front of a sword for his friends.
That's why
Michael's over and over again. There's
Michael just like throws a sword over his shoulder. He's like, "Daddy's got to go to work."
Yeah,
but there's zero.
Like you said, we get just the right amount of Michael.
Yeah,
and Michael through this entire book series has never contradicted himself or never like. He stuck to his character he's not
a hypocrite.
He's never been a hypocrite in this entire.
That's hugely admirable. It would be boring if he was the main character.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to put on the record here. If Jim watched this stream,
Of course he is.
It's going to be entirely our fault that there's going to be a mini series or a series from Michael's point of view, because he's going to take it as a challenge.
He's like,
I
oh,
wouldn't
you
mind
don't
this.
think I can?
Michael
That's how we
wife.
that's how we got Codex Alera, I think, something along those lines.
Wasn't Codex Alera like a bet?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was like
Yeah.
I bet you can't write a series about the lost Roman legion and Pokemon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like
He's
the
like,
book.
I bet you I can.
And
Yeah.
Jim's like, 6-book deal. What do you want?
Dump,
Yeah.
bam.
It'd be a 6-book deal. I'll write about whatever the hell you want me to write.
Right?
Money talks.
Anything you want. You throw darts at a board. I'll do it.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, working with Nicodemus, I just loved how Harry reverts back to the he's in the elevator with Matt. He goes, "Are you fucking crazy?"
Oh, he can only do that with her when she's alone.
Yeah,
he's
right.
explicitly told that.
But I mean, think
you
about
can
it. Like,
talk to her like that when she's alone, but if you do that shit in front of people,
like
she will
not
make
that
an
long
example of
ago, Nicodemus literally almost tried to murder the entire world. Like Nicodemus is not someone you want to be paired with.
And Mav's like, that's small potatoes. I know.
Yeah.
He's got a debt.
Well-
You're gonna help him.
Freaking Matt bitch slaps Harry and bounces his head off the inside
Makes
of
a
the
dent.
elevator. He's like, oh.
Right. I read these 2 books this week, but I haven't read the other ones in a while. Do we have any understanding of the relationship between Nicodemus and his goals and aims as opposed to the outsiders? The outsiders seem to want to destroy everything, I guess. Do we understand? Is there any kind of are they like allies? Are they like adversaries to
Nicodemus
each other?
and the outsiders.
Versus
It
the
hasn't been
outsiders?
explicitly
No.
linked.
No,
Yeah,
I
we
don't
haven't
think
seen
they're
the
not
thing.
allies, because Nicodemus, if anything, would just try to convert some of them to give them coins. I think.
I strongly believe that they are pursuing the same purposes, but they're not allies specifically.
No.
For instance, the outsiders, they haven't. I don't think this has ever been made full blown explicit, but they seem to be the counterbalance to the White God of Dresden. Like the White God is the only one of the only things that seems to be able to consistently kick these things back or actually damage them in some real way. And since Nicodemus is in opposition of the White God, they would, it would make sense that they would be, they could be allies if ever given the chance to link up. But
I don't
nothing's
think
been
that Nicodemus would
explicit.
ever work with them, though. Because
I think Nicodemus would be willing to work with anybody that will fit his means, but I don't know that the outsiders would actually work with anybody.
I feel like Nicodemus wants to subjugate, while the outsiders just want to out and outright destroy.
Well, they want
and
Empty
take over.
Night. They want Empty
Yeah.
Night. That's their end goal. Their end goal is Empty Night. Everything stops. Everything's done.
Mhm.
Nicodemus, I don't think has that as his explicit goal, but his goal is in opposition of the White God. He
Yeah.
doesn't want, anything. He wants nothing to do with the White God or anything involved with him. And everything.
Nicodemus is too smart to just want to kill everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I said he wants to
What's
subjugate.
that?
He wants to
I-
rule.
yes.
He does. He wants to
Yeah.
subjugate, exactly.
Everything is a terribly boring outcome.
Yeah.
Oh, having everything subjugated to yourself? Yeah, I agree. It's
Both are boring.
It's also
It's-
boring to just kill everything.
Right.
Mhm.
Then what do you kill yourself after?
Well,
you
it's
killed
just
everything?
it's the trope that's existed forever. Is bad guy wants to destroy the world. It's
Why?
and then what?
Well, there needs to be a good reason. If they're going to go down that route, there needs to be a good reason. And I'm going to bring up, a
Thanos.
sort of an older film. If you've watched Kevin Smith films, you'll know the film Dogma. Jason Alexander's character in that. What was his name?
Not too easy.
I don't remember his. He was a fallen angel, went to hell, and he makes a decent argument in favor of everything just stopping. He's like, I've been to hell. I've existed in hell. Hell is more awful than you could ever imagine. I would rather not exist than go back to that shit.
Yeah.
So if that's your thought process, I can get behind that as your impetus to want to just make everything stop. You need to give me a good freaking reason though. If your reason is fuck it, that's a shit reason.
I'm Team Thanos. I'm like, just kill half the people so the rest of the people have
Just
more.
give them double
have more-
resources, damn it.
Have more
I hate
gasoline
that.
and oil so we can drive our like naturally aspirated V8s around. And
Damn
not-
it! I hate that. I hated that change in the MCU. Make him, the simp to death. That was fine. I was okay with him
man.
being a simp to death.
I grew up on Thanos worshiping death like that. Jim
I'm
Starlin,
okay with
man,
that.
was
It
my
makes more
childhood.
sense if you have
But-
infinite
Hold
power
on.
in your fist. Snap it, double the resources. Don't go kill
Exactly.
half of everything.
Thanos could just be the savior of all
Yeah.
humanity. Be like, I literally have the power to create anything. Here's
Yeah.
infinite resources. No, I have to kill half of you because you're
and
taking
of
all the
course you're
resources.
going to come back and
It-
beat
it-
my ass because
it
you're
doesn't-
pissed.
What he did doesn't matter because we doubled our population in the last 100 years. It's just going to come back.
Temporary reprieve, right? But the comics, at least, he had a hard on for death, and
Yeah,
kinda
that
makes
made sense.
I'm like, all
Yeah.
right,
That made
all right,
sense.
that's your thing. You like skinny chicks? I'm okay with that.
But like,
Well,
okay,
she
before
are-
we get back to Skin Game though, but like every other Marvel villain was just like, I want to kill everyone. It's just like, okay, we got to at least change it a little bit.
No, Killmonger
Well,
wanted to liberate.
Doom
like,
was pretty
Killmonger
cool
had a
about
reason.
that though. He never
Now-
wanted to do that,
I don't want to like jump too far ahead here,
right?
but
Yes, you do.
get back on
But
track.
is there a comparison between Nicodemus and Thanos, Deidre, and
Gamora.
Oh, Gamora.
Really, really, that's a stretch, man. Like,
Really?
is that the only
Really,
parallel
that's a stretch.
you're gonna get? Hey, is there a comparison between the Joker and
Harley Quinn.
Lex Luthor? I mean, they both poop.
No, dude, what happens?
Well, it's not to have to sacrifice their daughter to realize
I
that.
mean,
Well,
be
that's
fair-
one
It's a
thing.
good
Okay,
point.
that's
to be fair,
one thing.
Thanos did not make out with Gamora first. That was
true. They were he
Hey,
didn't
that was
have
his
nothing to do with
loss.
that.
His law.
He hasn't made out with their daughter after 10,000 years of destroying people. Come on.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's get
I hope
into
my kid doesn't watch
let's
this
get
film.
into the characters of Dresden's 11 or Ocean's
Dresden's
Files.
11.
Oh,
man.
there you go.
So
Files 5.
so Binder's back, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think like this book really actually made me really like Binder.
Well,
I
100%.
Yeah.
I liked-
him better
well,
in this book.
This book gave us a chance to actually get to know all these jackasses that he'd been fighting. You're not going to sit down and talk to, Binder in what was it, Turncoat. You're not going to sit down and talk to him. You're gonna capture him and tell him to shut up and sit in a corner until the wardens come and get him. But
Yeah.
in this one you're sitting down at a table. You're talking about like his goals and his wants and all this other stuff. And it goes with what was it, Asher, right? Anna Asher.
Yeah.
Like all these different characters are coming back, and they're fleshing them out. And
A lot of
it's
Jews in
great.
this book. Just want to point that out.
what's that?
As a Jew. A lot of Jews in this book.
I
In Asher, you got Butters. A lot of Jews doing
Yeah.
stuff.
mean,
I'm Jewish, so I have to mention that.
you mean Buttersman or Batters?
Matters.
Doesn't Butters say he's Jewish at the end, or am I confusing myself?
What, Butters? But no, Butters
Yep.
is Jewish.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make a point to bring that up.
Yeah, he says at the end, is there such a thing as a Jewish Knight of the Cross?
There is now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they got an agnostic atheist, that thinks maybe Michael was
Right.
an alien. So
Yeah.
I mean,
There you go.
And
Yeah,
there was a
some
Buddhist-
is, and they- yeah.
yeah, that's what's pretty cool about the Knights of the Cross. They're like, yeah, just be a pretty chill guy, and we'll give you
Hey.
this cool sword.
Where I
Yeah.
come from, there is no try.
Right. Yeah, that was great.
All right, before
And
we
he's
get
got
into
his
that,
lightsaber.
before we get into that, I want to know everyone's reactions to the Shattering.
Oh,
Like, what the hell went through you guys' minds when Murphy went and did the bad? She tried to strike down a defenseless man with the sword of the cross.
I
I
spent
wish
a lot
it
of
had
time backtracking to see how Dresden could have avoided that. Like, where were his choices?
Mm-hmm.
What was he? Was he going to blame himself for this happening, or was his hand forced? And I'm pretty sure when I thought it through, and I might be wrong, But when I thought it through, I kind of felt like it wasn't really his fault. It wasn't really anything else he could have done. By the end of the book, I was even more convinced there was nothing else he could have done.
Well,
Given
we have
this whole thing with Goodman Gray, he could not have done anything to. Given what he knew about Nikki's ability to like hear through shadows, he couldn't have told Butters like just leave us alone. I got this in a way that would have been would have worked.
Well, I mean that scene is so like it starts off just amazing because she's been toting that rocket launcher around
it gets right up in his face.
The whole thing, the whole time. She's been carrying that around, and then like she points at the Janowska at first and then spins it over, and Nick's like, that's not gonna kill me. She goes, well, that's because you think I'm holding a rocket launcher.
Right.
Yeah. It was great.
Oh, how did you feel about that, Chaz, when that happened?
That was crazy because I had no idea that she had been toting around the sword. So when that happened, when she like brought it up to her shoulder and was pointing it at him, I'm like, Murphy, what are you thinking? That's not going to hurt him. Like I was totally like Nicodemus. I was like, okay, how is that going to help anything? And then when she made the reveal, oh yeah, no, this is the sword. I'm like, okay, now
we're talking.
But I did kind of wonder at that point. I'm like, okay, so she obviously loves Dresden. Is she gonna fuck this?
That's what screwed her. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what screwed her in that moment. She was thinking with her heart instead of her head.
Invested in the game, yeah.
And and oh gosh, she played so like perfectly into his hands. Like Nick like intentionally drops the coin. He's just a dude now. No, there's no supernatural power. So, like you shouldn't strike him down in anger. That's not that's not the thing to do with the white god and all that stuff. And she's like, nah, like he's still doing some shitty things. He's still telling the Janowska to crush Aaron's head. I got to do something. And she was swinging down, and it like depowered the blade. Like the power left it.
Oh man!
Caught her, knocked her, or broke her, like dislocated her arm or broke it. I don't remember.
He shattered her knee, kicked it in from the inside.
Yeah, tore the ACL.
Yeah, she gets
pulled an ostrich.
He did incapacitate her arm though too. Yeah, because
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
she's arm and leg.
You're right. It's like an arm and a leg.
Jacked her up.
And then she's.
Well, that's why Nicodemus is so great as a bad guy, because you hate him so much, because he drops his coin. He's like, oh, please save me. And you're just like, son of a bitch. Like, I hate you so hard right now. Like,
apparently,
protect me.
Well, it's one of the few times
deal with
that
disingenuousness.
God.
No, you're good. Go
on next, Alex.
I was saying it's just like the time in whatever book it was when Harry beats the shit out of what's his name, Cassius or whatever, with the bat. And it's just like he's like, he's gonna come back and kill us. He's like, that's not my choice to make. Like he's not innocent, but he's giving himself up. Like we can't do anything. And then it's basically kind of reiterating that again, where they're like, we can't do anything. Murphy's like, I'll swing. And it just doesn't work out.
Oh my gosh! And then we go into either the best or the second best scene in my mind in all of Dresden, where Michael starts walking out and he's like,
"Well, oh come on, you got to do the speech. You got to do the speech first. You got Ern standing there."
He's like, "I will walk out this gate, and if you let them go." And he's like, "No games." He's like, free will, and then just the world freezes, and Mr. Sunshine comes down.
I'm sorry, that was after that.
My God!
Mr. Sunshine showing up and everything he says and does in this moment, because Nicodemus walks over to him, in like the most brazen act of defiance ever, goes over and flips him on the nose, and he's like, "You can't do shit," and he's like, "Well, I can't walk through that gate, and I can't stop you from walking through it, but I could help you walk through it or something."
Yeah, he just walks by, puts a hand on Michael's shoulder, and then keeps walking. and he's like, Butters throws him the packet, and he rips out his sword, and then just kicks the freaking thing off the hinges. He's like, "In nomine Dei, Nicodemus, I have come to face you." Oh shit!
He's back.
The best.
Maybe temporarily, but he's back.
I mean,
oh my gosh, that like the first time
awesome.
I read that, I was just like, I thought it was at a movie. I'm sitting there like, what?
Joe,
Yeah.
I know for a fact you did the hippity hop.
Oh man, I was jumping. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, so for context, when he gets really excited and stuff, he'll do this like little bounce, and everybody calls it the hippity hop.
Dude,
he does it without thinking about it.
Dude, I was so hyped.
Yeah, that was
And
good.
was it just me? Was it just me, Chaz, or was that like the?
It wasn't just you. That was an epic moment.
I just love how like Nicodemus was just like after that he's just like damn it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, all right, and then he just shuts it down. He's like, all right, we'll see you back at the office.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun here. Yeah.
Right.
Get back there. We got some planning to do.
That was really good, and Game Over was really good.
Oh yeah,
Like, both those
yeah.
teams.
game over.
Those were excellent.
Yeah.
But then, we get, of course, we get back to the office there, and we figure out that they're gonna freaking rob Hades' vault.
Mhm.
And another, I was like, I'm so freaking excited, but I'm like, okay, like how is this gonna happen? Like, should this even be able to be done? I'm like, this is like one of like the 2 or 3 most powerful Greek gods, and you're gonna be able to just like sneak into his vault. I mean, how did you guys feel about that?
What, trying to steal from Hades?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good plan.
Yeah, no, it's not a good plan. That's
Alex, like, it's not a good plan.
That's bound to cause problems. That's
It was
bound
set
to
up so
cause
well
health
though, because like
problems.
Harry thinks he's doing such a good job, and they're sneaking through, and Hades is just like, "Dude, I see you. I've been watching you this whole time." He's like, "Oh shit!"
I knew you were
Oh my
here.
god! All right.
That whole scene where Hades pulls him aside and says, "No, we're good. I know what you're doing. It's fine. It's part of the plan." Like I would
like, I like you, Harry.
I would bet money that was like after beta readers were like, "Why doesn't Hades care about any of this shit?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why isn't he stopping them? Like he's a freaking god, and he's just ignoring them." And like Jim Butcher wrote the book, and it's because if you think about that scene, it takes place like in an instant of time.
Yeah.
He pulls him out of the thing, talks to him, says, "No, it's good. We're good. You do what you need to do." Sends him back. No time has passed. Nothing's happened.
Yeah,
And then it goes on, and I'm like, he added that after the fact.
you do make a good point. It's one of those things where that whole sequence can just be inserted anywhere at any time because of the it taking place in a split second or something. So,
Right.
yeah, you make a good point.
I think he added it after the fact. Beta readers were like, "No, I don't believe that Hades would just sit back and not notice any of this." And he's like, "All right, I'll justify it."
See, but the best part about that, though, especially if that was the case and he did that after the fact, that whole sequence, instant breakout character. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved Hades. Hades was the shit.
It was good.
Oh, Spot is a good boy.
Yeah, that was great.
Everyone
Yeah,
loves dogs with stupid names.
Yeah.
I just finished the book.
It's
but I
like you're
told my
the
dog,
freaking
"Mom,
god of the underworld, and you named your dog Spot.
you have to, every dog has to be named Spot or Dog or something. Something really dumb.
Rex.
People love that.
Rex, yeah.
That is a companion.
Correct.
Well, it was crazy when did anybody see Nicodemus killing Deidre?
When they were talking about the gate of blood, that's the moment where I was like, "Oh, someone's dying." I wasn't sure it'd be her, but then again, the whole contingent is you kill somebody and they still do what you want them to do. I mean, most people that get killed are going to be like, "Fuck you, dude! You killed me, piece of shit."
That was clever.
And so she does it, and he and in his own, deluded mind, he's like, "Well, I'm also shielding her from the enemy," because he was thinking that she died anywhere else, she's gonna go like to fire and brimstone hell or some other weird thing, and he's like, "Well, now she's here," and
that was my favorite part. That was my favorite part of Harry and Hades' conversation
in the vault.
Yeah, you're just gonna let her. He's like, and then he got serious for a second. He's like, revisit your classics.
Yeah. Go read Beowulf's mythology, dude.
He's
The
like,
myth of Sisyphus,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
felt like there was something. Either I missed it or it wasn't really well done. The whole interaction with Tessa and Nicodemus and what she was trying to do to stop. Was she really trying to stop them? Was she not trying to stop them? And then at the end, she seemed to be working with Nicodemus. And I either I missed something or something was like not quite right with the continuity. I couldn't quite figure out what her goals were relative to her husband, and whether she was really trying to stop him or not, or what part of the plan she was on board with. I didn't.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if initially she was trying to stop him, because I wonder if she had an inkling of what he was going to do and kill their daughter.
Well, okay, I don't. The
I don't
only
know for
two
sure,
sequences I remember in the book that involved Tessa. Now, guys, correct me if there's additional ones. Was when they needed Goodman Gray to take. Well, they wanted to save the guy. What was his name? I don't remember his name. No, whatever, Banker or something.
Yeah, Henry, something.
The accountant.
The accountant. They wanted to save him, and her goal was to kill him. And she did succeed in that matter. So, like, if she would have killed him and Goodman wasn't Goodman,
But Goodman's too good,
right? Always living in that gray area. But don't.
She did that.
This is a very punny stream.
Right? Like, totally today. But so like her goal was to kill him, and that would have shut down the heist. So Deidre would live. And then the next sequence that I remember was when they got into the human vault, and like Tessa busted through everywhere and like went full bug mode on Harry and tried to kill Harry. And if Harry died, they wouldn't be able to get through the gate of ice, and shuts down.
But she wasn't just trying to save Deidre, or she was lying, which could be true. But she was saying like, "Oh, 15 centuries of planning. I can't believe it's all going to be wasted now." And that's
I didn't invest 15
to
centuries. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good point. Like, I didn't think about the additional time, like because she would have known about it for a long ass time.
Because she seemed to have a plan that was different, and I never figured out what that was. But again, I might have missed clues.
Well, weren't her people over in Iran keeping
Sansa
Sonya busy?
Right, yeah,
at a nuclear power plant or something.
Something like that. They showed. I'm pretty sure they showed like satellite pictures of it or something, and him standing like in between the nukes and the her Daenerys. But then again, she also picks just whoever the hell will pick up the coin. So she's always got a bunch of idiots doing her stuff.
People who she goes for people who want power, and Nicodemus normally goes for people who have a long-term plan.
Mm-hmm.
Or people he think can be trusted trusted-ish long-term, I guess.
Oh, but during the vault conversation, isn't that something also brought up from Harry? He's like, you think you're on equal footing with Anduriel, but like he's been pulling your strings for so long or something like that to, add even more like doubts into his mind and stuff. Like Nick went through the trauma conga line in this book, and he just came out the other end busted to shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's also never a moment where Harry won't talk shit to
right,
supernatural being that can rip his face off.
Oh yeah.
Oh dude.
Especially
Man.
when it came to taunting him about Deidre.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Well, that kicked the final battle.
Yeah.
There, where the freaking Janasqua ends up having a coin, and you're just like, man, that doesn't seem fair.
Already OP enough to begin with, and then he throws the coin into the mix, and now he's freaking Ursiel on top of it.
Yeah,
which was one of the more powerful Daenerys anyway.
Yeah. Right.
So you got this giant freight train of muscle and rage that you just gave like a giant powder keg of supernatural power, and now he has hatred in his eyes, or his eye sockets, I should say, for Harry. And but here's the thing though, when Goodman did what he did and gouged out the Janasqua's eyes, he at least guaranteed that the big bastard had to be in his even bigger form, to see. which is
Well, that just shows you how strong Goodman Gray is. That he was able to go toe to toe with a Janasqua full on, fallen angel, and then of course, you have my lover, like
Oh yeah, last year
Last Shield.
that was wild.
I am all in on a Goodman Gray spinoff.
well, yeah, I think
yeah.
he said when he concludes the Dresden Files, he's gonna have a book series called Monster Inc. and it's gonna be Goodman Gray.
Nice.
Did he?
Because you have to because he has to pay the mortgage bills. Yeah.
Well, shit. I mean, we're not getting the ending of Dresden Files until when? 2040? Like, how long is this going to take?
Lord,
There's like
yeah.
six more books. to make.
He's got like 25 books total planned. I think.
23, I think.
Oh, really?
Well, okay. Well, it keeps changing.
Is it
Originally
20
it was 20.
including like the trilogy that completes it all? Because he's
Yeah,
writing
we have
like
three. We have three more, and then the trilogy.
Well,
Yeah, because you have 12 months, Mirror Mirror, and then
no,
there's one more.
no.
American, right?
He added even more now. I'm pretty sure it's up to 25
God damn it.
because he's got all this shit he's planning on putting in here, and he just keeps adding on top like piles and piles. So
He's a stop.
He's got to make up his mind because I've been telling people I want to do 25 books because I just say, well, if Jim Butcher can do it, so can I. I answer to people when they ask me how many books are in your series. I'm like, I think it's 25 because that's what the Dresden Files is going to be. And he's got to
Gotta
decide
one up
soon.
his ass.
How many are written? 3?
Me, yeah.
3? All right. Well, you got some time.
I got time. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He doesn't have to make up his mind right now. He's got some leeway.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, and I mean that scene was great. And then we get to see more of a tactician, Harry, when he goes up against Asher, because normally he's the brute strength guy. Like, I'll just keep hammering on it. But then it turns into, well, she's the one that has all power but doesn't know how to fight.
Right.
And he ends up reflecting off her
She's a
fire or
one-trick
whatever.
pony. It's
But
all
that's-
fire.
But that's how Jim Butcher like makes Harry cool, right? Like Harry's like constantly like on the defensive. He's like reacting to like people attacking him, and he's like pretty potent. And then the story all along is always, but wizards, when they have time to prepare, are really dangerous.
Right.
So then he puts Harry in one scenario where he's had time to prepare and actually think, and he's like super dangerous. And it's like you get that cool, satisfying, oh, thank goodness Harry's actually super dangerous now for a fight.
Yeah.
Well,
In every book or so.
my favorite part of that scene was Lashiel's "oh shit" moment.
Oh.
The molten whatever the hell was up there is dropping on her head.
Yeah, that was
Lashio couldn't
great. I'm
stop
like,
her.
What's that?
Lashio couldn't stop her. Like,
Right.
Lashio seen it, but
Yeah.
like Asher was like, I'm gonna kill him.
Hell hath no fury.
Yeah. The best way to defeat someone is to use their strengths against them, not their weaknesses.
Right. Yeah.
And I love scenes like that. I love when that happens in a book.
Well, I mean, it's going to be crazy when Nick comes back because, by the end of this, Nick has sacrificed everything.
Oh, he has nothing.
Yeah.
He sacrificed his right hand person. Hades knows what he did. Mab puts him on the run. All his minions are dead or gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can recruit some more or whatever, but he has the Grail. I think he only got the Grail, or did he
only got the Grail?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So all he has is the Grail and himself.
Yeah.
It's
So
good, like,
Nicodemus shows up every third,
5.
every fourth book?
5.
Is it every 5?
Every 5.
Wasn't he in Death Mask? So wouldn't it be 4?
No, Death Mask was 5. Summer Night was 4.
Oh, I always forget that. I feel like Death Mask.
You
is
said
4
you don't like Summer Night, so you're blocking it
exactly. That doesn't exist in my brain. That's why.
And just as a side note, speaking of the Grail, I was wondering if Jim Butcher was gonna try and do a Last Crusade thing where you have chosen falsely, or you've chosen the wrong one, and this is the true guy. And they didn't do it, but I was like, okay, I'm waiting to see if Jim Butcher is going to try and pull one of those things.
I mean, what like holy items has he not done so far? Because he did the Shroud of Turin, he did
Yeah,
the Holy
Shroud of
Grail,
Turin.
the lance
The
was in the
pins out,
thing,
Yeah,
right?
the
right?
Lancing
Apparently that was a
Longevus
fake,
was what
too,
they
right?
wanted to.
yeah.
Nick wanted that one in particular, and that's why Harry took that,
Yeah.
did that, And there was another one.
The Sign.
Which one?
Nothing from east of Turkey. Right?
Well,
So
he does have
far.
a food
Asia
dog.
does not exist in Jim Butcher's universe.
Well,
He does have a food dog.
He has a food
Oh,
dog, and
yeah.
he did mention the Jade Court. He hasn't
Like
brought
one
them in yet.
time. It was a
Hey, He's planting
A
them.
one-off
fire and
comment.
forget. That's what it
Yeah.
was, man. Until we see
Hey, there's some other stuff that I can't say right now that was
Thank
only
you.
mentioned one time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not going
it.
to
Right,
mention them.
we'll go as far as this book. But let me ask you this, though. We were talking about this earlier. So, as you said, Nicodemus has nothing now. He's sacrificed absolutely everything. He has nothing whatsoever that would tie him to the anything. So the question is he primed for desiring empty night? Like is he primed to want to do that? Did they
this might
successfully
be
prime him?
So
this
now
might
he's
be
gonna
what
side with the outsiders.
Exactly.
that might be what pushes him, but he's running a gambit. Maybe it's like all I needed was the Grail to do what I needed to do. Maybe he has a plan.
corrupt it in some way. It's supposed to be life giving, and he's going to do some screwed up shit with it, and it's going to frozen ice out some field of miasma death or some bullshit.
I mean, Butcher's painting him as a guy who spent 2,000 years with a maniacal devotion to a plan. For him to bail on the plan now because he had a few setbacks just seems like a betrayal of the setup.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know what that plan is yet, though.
We don't know, but it can't be just hooking up with the outsiders and destroying everything, because that he could have had easier ways to do that.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, you have a point. I'm just saying, like when you have nothing, you don't really give a shit about anything.
Well, when
He's
you have
gonna
nothing,
take
you're more dangerous, right? You have no
Now-
weaknesses.
Yeah,
Now,
he's got nothing to lose anymore.
Now,
Yeah.
all the way up until this moment, I look at the outsiders as kind of chaotic evil. They just want everything to end because, existence is probably awful for them. They're like outside of our existence or something. I'm sure we'll learn more in the next few books about them and their motives and everything anyway, but they always came off as chaotic evil, whereas Nicodemus isn't chaotic evil. He's
He's lawful good, right?
Lawful good. In his eyes, I'm sure he is. But like there's no chaos to him. He's methodical. He's got a plan.
Yeah.
Everyone has a plan until they get a lightsaber
punch
shoved
in
in
the
their
mouth.
face.
Well,
Right?
I would like to say everyone's got a plan until you start hammering down on the dead daughter button, because that's the moment where shit went off the rails.
Mhm.
Oh
Right.
my god. Yeah, and he's like, well, I love how Michael basically tells Harry, like, you told him you have a daughter. You told him you have a kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, what? He goes, only a father would say the kind of things that you said to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like, oh. And then of course Goodman turns into a thoroughbred horse and stuff.
Right.
Runs his ass off there, gets
and
tired.
then turns out to be a Negoshi. That was kind of wild.
Well,
Yeah.
I like the part at the end where they he was coming to collect his dues because Harry got to him before $1, but he was like, come on, Goodman, come up to the house here. I'll give you your $1. And he's like, I ain't walking anywhere past this gate.
Yeah.
I don't. What did he say? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I ain't about to find out.
Yeah.
He's like, what was he talking? Was Harry talking to Uriel, or was he talking to Michael when he was like, they wouldn't have really smited him if he would have walked in here, would they? If he goes, yeah, like,
I don't know. That's good. It's good that we didn't find out, but I'm
yeah,
pretty
it's
sure
like,
that was Uriel.
yeah, yeah, something like, yeah, it's good that we didn't find out or whatever. But I love
Goodman Gray. He's his own series. It's gonna be better.
I mean, I just love how what's Valmont? Valmont's like, I can help you guys sell all your diamonds.
Right.
Well, okay, it wasn't Velmont that was like the most pragmatic about that, because everyone in there, all the other people that were in the vault were running around grabbing the most ostentatious, heavy, dumbass shit, and she's like, "No, man, I'm going over to this diamond fountain and I'm filling up my bag because this is the most valuable weight I can do." And everyone else is like, "Shit, that makes so much sense."
She's
And they
like,
all
"You're
go do
a
it.
genius." Well, and then the Janoskwa had like what they say he had some like military giant like Humvee like bags that he had.
And what the hell's a Janoskwa want with money anyway?
Hey,
Do we
they found all the
understand-
good stuff.
Did we ever get a sense of the Janoska's motivations in working with Nikki? Because I didn't. I missed that. Like, I don't know why he was working with Nicodemus. I don't know what he wanted. He got a coin, which I guess power is always fun, but I didn't really get a sense of what he was after, other than just being a big muscly bad guy.
Right. I would agree with that. Like when like the Janoskwa to me was probably the least fleshed out of all the different characters of the heist. Like they didn't really flesh him out much. He was
There's not
mainly
enough
there.
pages to flesh all of them out, though,
Right?
to be fair.
I mean, that's true. That's true. But like for the most part, all you get about the Janoskwa is he was a giant, angry, rage monkey
Who liked goat, which I respect.
who liked to eat goat and had awful smelling breath and hated the forest people, despised the what do you say?
Maybe
like
he was
the wimpy forest people.
Maybe it was just like they kind of say that a lot of people that get offered coins are kind of outcasts. Maybe he was, because he's like, don't lump me in with that tree lover or whatever he says. Maybe he was an outcast, and Nick's like, hey, your people don't like you. You can come hang out with us.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's broached a little bit more in the later books, if I recall. Like not too much, but I'm pretty sure they talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
But we won't go into that because Jazz hasn't gotten that far yet.
Damn it, Chaz.
I read them, but I had no memory, so I don't remember him showing up later or not. So, okay. That's fair.
But yeah, I mean,
did we skip over the I think somebody said Butter's lightsaber, but do we skip over the whole scene?
I was just about to bring us back to it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but like that, who thought that Charity was going to get it? Like,
my mind
she
never
doesn't
went to
need it.
Charity. I never thought she would be the one to pick it
She's
up.
fully armored and has a warhammer. She doesn't need a sword.
Now I was thinking maybe one of Michael and Charity's sons, because I think he's going to pick up the sword.
Well, no, I mean I meant when Harry threw it. Did you think that she was going to get it and save the day?
No, I didn't think. It didn't seem like it was. What was he throwing it at Charity? He was throwing it at her, wasn't he?
Yeah, he threw it at Charity and it bounced off her hand and into Butter's hand.
Right.
Yeah, because he's like, sometimes, the way Jim was like, sometimes things just come together perfectly. It rotated perfectly, and then she fumbled it.
Because she fails to grab it, it like bounces off the ground, and then Butter's just like, shing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and then probably in that case, it looks like the poster
where he's like holding
he's like in a hero stance. And,
Like I was sure something was going to happen. And if he was throwing it at her, then probably in that moment. It's been a hot minute since I had read that part. I can't say what originally happened. Probably.
How do you guys feel about
where I come from? There is no try.
Just in general, how do you like or hate the fact that Butters has a sword?
Oh, I love it.
I've seen a ton of people that don't like it at all.
I don't know. Where's the hate coming from with that? I think
they
it's
just don't like Butters as a character.
Like in all, like on Facebook, the Dresden Facebook groups and like Reddit, it's a thing. Like not, I wouldn't say half, but there's a big contingent that does not like Butters being a knight.
Yeah.
I mean,
he foreshadowed it all the way back to freaking Deadbeat. I mean, of course, this was probably a retroactive retcon or whatever, but
because Butters was barely going to be a character initially.
Yeah,
like you guys were saying, but it works as foreshadowing because Harry, as he's being choked out by liver spots and everything, he's like, I this is the moment a knight should show up. I'm praying for a knight, but no knight showed up. It was Butters. You're like, well, he is a knight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I don't know. I really liked when he was doing his Batman Batman thing with
Bob.
we didn't really talk about that, but like, you know, the whole, he was using Bob and using mind fog and using the what is it? The flying trick or whatever to make the skateboard go like 35 miles an hour or whatever.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, he had like
that was freaking
kind of,
sweet.
He had like a magical grappling hook or something that he'd shoot out and
The lasso,
grab onto things.
I think Harry even says it at one point. He's like, he kind of goes meta, and he's like, am I gonna get hit with a copyright or something? Like,
but then he grabs the hilt, the broken hilt of Fideliakis, and a giant white beam of light shoots out because he's a Star Wars geek. And it shears right through Nicodemus's blade, and Nicodemus proceeds to shit bricks.
Well, and that shows you how powerful it was, because Nicodemus's blade was able to go toe to toe with Michael's.
Yeah.
And Butter's, lifesaver, cut it in half or whatever, sheared the top of it off.
And the real shame is Cat Sith isn't in this book. Like, Cat Sith and the lightsaber really needed to be in the same book.
No.
But that never happened.
Yeah.
But
we just missed each other.
But like, I mean, and then you get the, one of the parts, and this actually might have happened right beforehand, where Harry first sees his daughter, and she's showing him around, and she's like, "Do you want to be my daddy?" And I was like,
You also get Thomas basically telling Harry, like, "Stop being a bitch, go be a dad." Like,
good.
Like, I don't care what you're trying to do. Like, you need to be her father.
Yeah, it hits you right in the feels there.
Yeah, he's like, Michael's a great man. He goes, but you're her dad. He's like, you need to go and man up, basically. Oh my gosh. But like, I'm trying to think, how does exactly the book end? Does it end with Harry going back to Demon Reach, or does it end with him sitting with everybody at the house? I forget. Is it him sitting with his daughter in his lap or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't go back to Demon Reach.
Yeah. Okay.
Drinking a beer on the porch with Michael, and she's.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, he goes, I wouldn't, something about like, he goes, I wouldn't move her for the world. I wouldn't have got up and moved her for the world or the world's best beer or something like that.
Right.
And then it's kind of, it fades off. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like I said,
he's in the house, and the sword is right next to him. Amarachius.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, there's a point at the end of the book where he goes and goes to the hospital to see Murph all busted up and everything to reassure her, which is good of them to do, because I know that in the book she was really beating herself up thinking she destroyed one of the 3 swords of the cross, and he's like, nah, I got it, and it's a lightsaber now, and he pulls it out and shows her, and she's like, thank God.
No pun intended.
Right? I don't think it was intended at that point.
Yeah, he's like, Michael's going to help me work out, or what?
Teach me how to eat right. Like, dude,
eat right, yeah.
You need some HGH or something.
He's like 5'0", isn't he? About the same height as
5'6" or something like that. Yeah, he's really
winter night steroids.
Yeah, you breathe, you'll knock him over.
Now, did any of you guys read any of the short stories? Because there's a short story that involves Butters learning how to
zip.
Nothing yet.
Chad,
I haven't.
That's Chad's next.
I have gone to just the synopsis. It's all publicly available. I am not saying anything about what happens.
Nope. We're gonna hold that off for a later time. Chad's about to run into those.
Yeah, I'm reading Briefcases and Side Jobs next month. So,
is that short story in Briefcases? I can't remember where I read
Which one?
The one with Butters. What was?
I mean, probably.
Well, there's some like there's a few short stories involving Molly that aren't in any omnibuses yet. You got to go to like the weird anthology series to get to those.
I mean, I've read both short story collections. I can't remember specifically which one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I can't
Chad, you
remember.
get to it.
I can't remember what's in what.
Are we talking about which one? The Warrior?
No, that's in the first. That's in Side Jobs.
What about? Are you talking about Wild Card or which one are we talking about? There's a bunch. There's Bombshells, Wild Card.
Bombshells. That one's one that I think they may have put that one in briefcases now, but
Day
I can't say
one?
for sure. There was
Working for Bigfoots in.
Yeah, that was a side one that had all three of those.
It might be Day One that you're talking about then.
Day one, yeah, I think it is day one.
Okay.
And then there's that one with Molly. I can't remember the name of this one where she's already the winter lady, and they sent her off to do something in like Alaska.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, guys.
So
Well, I think it's about time to hit the old dusty trail. But I appreciate everybody who's been watching for this time, and I know we may do a video on the side stories. Maybe I know Chaz is going to get into those some really good stories, and some of these side characters and stuff kind of get to grow there.
Mhm.
But if you guys want to go around and say, like, plug whatever you want to plug, what's going on with you, Chaz? What's the next thing we'll be seeing from you?
Doing a why you should read video on the Greenbone saga.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it is. It's excellent. So yeah, I'm anxious to share that, and then after that, I have a video coming up where I talk about movies that were better than the book.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
All right, Joe. So what are you working on, Joe?
Wistful Ascending, which is
Oh.
not working with my background.
But it looked really cool just a second ago because only the main character was cut out and the
Yes,
rest of the
thanks,
background
Joe.
disappeared. It was
I
like he
can't
was
control
flying.
it. I have books. I have 3 books in that series out, and I just finished an unrelated book is in beta reads right now, which is a stock fantasy, which is taken the movie set on Cradle, but if it starred Michelle Yeoh.
Nice.
Sales pitch.
So I want to write a book that had a blurb, and then because Wistful Ascending is terrible to like summarize or blurb, so I came up with that, and people are reading it right now, and it might be terrible. I don't know, but we'll see.
I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Alex, you're still on YouTube, so what are you doing?
I am. Trying to get back into actually finding time to record videos and edit them and upload them. Meanwhile, just playing games and reading. Haven't been making videos.
Nice.
Working a lot.
Yeah, man, I 100% hear that. And are you reading anything, Nathan, over there? Or you still play? Or you're still just playing Elden Ring?
Well, I've beaten that for probably 12 or 13 times. It's getting a little old. No, I'm actually reading the novelization of God of War, which is actually pretty good.
No, that was a thing.
Oh yeah, if you've ever played the game, the actor that voices Mimir is narrating it if you do the audiobook.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you're gonna end up like absorbing that off of my Audible, I'm sure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for all coming on. I had a freaking blast, and if we'll try to keep the gang together. Maybe we can get Sarah back the next time. We'll have a full house, man. But I appreciate you all for jumping on, and for everybody watching.
Thanks, Joe.
See you guys.
See you guys.
See you guys next time.
See you guys.
See ya.